This is Althea Jackson. Welcome to Metro Matters. I will be your host for the next 30 minutes. Metro Matters is a radio program with helpful information and resources provided by Louisville Metro government. A variety of discussion topics, tips, tools, and resources. Welcome to Metro Matters. Today, my guest is Ben Johnson. Ben is the Assistant Director with Louisville Metro Parks. He is here to tell us all things parks today. Welcome, Ben.
Well, thank you. No pressure there.
So, yeah, we're going to dig into what's going on with the Parks Department. I guess, let's first talk about, let's give us an overview of the parks, about your employee, how many people you have working now, how many departments, that kind of thing.
Yeah, so it's interesting. I had no idea how much happened at Parks and Recreation until I joined. So as you mentioned, we have a couple hundred employees, still need more. We'll talk about that later. We have multiple divisions: maintenance, operations, golf, forestry, of course, recreation, aquatics. So we're extremely diverse. Cover a lot of ground, and most people aren't aware of that. So it's a fun place to work.
So I started my Metro government career at Metro Parks.
I remember.
And I was there for 13 years, and at that point, I think we had just a little over 100 parks at that time. Do you know how many parks we have now?
We are still saying 120, but technically it's probably about 123, 124. We got a couple new ones coming online and some other things going on. So the official number that you would probably find in print right now would still be 120, but it's really more like 123, 124. We're talking about one of those, Alberta Jones Park, that's coming online here shortly. So, we're growing.
Yeah, absolutely. How many community centers?
14 community centers. I oversee 13 of them. That's my primary responsibility. Another thing I love about my job and our division is we go as far as Sun Valley. Sun Valley is probably 8 minutes from being in Fort Knox almost. Then we have Berrytown at the other end, and then, all the ones in between: California, Park Hill, Portland, Berrytown, Newburgh, Beachmont, I mentioned Sun Valley, Shawnee. So, I get to traverse the whole city.
So that's a good segue, because I was going to ask you, what is your specific role with Metro Parks?
My specific role is the Assistant Director of Recreation. I oversee the community centers, which most people think of as for young people, but it depends on the demographic of the community. Beachmont is very artistic. We have a couple of art studios in there, so it's a little older. Sun Valley, which shares the parking lot with the golf course, trends older, is not very pedestrian friendly, if you will, in terms of where it sits. So again, we do get young people there, but interestingly, we get more young people there that are dropped off and or younger, like during camps and so forth. Pre-COVID, Sun Valley sold out first when we were doing summer camps, and it always sold out the first day. It was hilarious. I mean,
the first day?
The very first day. And I remember getting a call from somebody one afternoon, like the day it opened, and somebody called me in the afternoon and was like, hey, it's already sold out. I said, yeah. I said, well, did you go last year? She said, yeah, and we know it always sells out. I'm like, right. Exactly. You're just, I was like, yeah. So, we started a little bit of a waiting list, but yeah.
So you mentioned camp. So you have a summer camp. Do you have like spring break and fall break?
So we're getting back again. There's so much conversation that's still post-COVID. So we're getting back into the camp game, if you will. And with JCPS's changing schedule, we just finished the fall break camp. So we're basically now going to do camps whenever JCPS is out of school. So it used to be summer camp, winter camp, spring break. So now there's a fall break. So we just finished that. Our winter break camps are being offered at no cost. So all of the community centers are having.
So that happens at all of the community centers?
Except for two, and that's Wilderness Road, which is a senior center, which is a fun thing. That facility and program is specifically for senior citizens. And then Metro Arts, which is an art facility strictly dedicated to art. And we might do a camp there, but right now we're actually looking for a supervisor. If you're interested and talented in art, Also, you don't necessarily have to be an artist, but that obviously adds a little bit of opportunity if you are. So we're looking for a supervisor for that facility. But yeah.
So earlier you alluded to a new park that's coming online. Is it Alberta Jones Park?
Alberta Jones.
Where is that?
That's in Maple, and it's in the California community. They're making pretty good progress on that now. It's happening under the leadership of the Parks Alliance. So they've been a good partner to the department and to the community. And if you don't know anything about Alberta Jones, I would say look it up. She has a very interesting story. It's a tragic. It's a weird, not her, but it's triumph and tragedy. I'll say it like that. She was a very talented, educated, smart woman who was murdered, and her murder is still unsolved.
And her sister has really kept this fight up to keep her name out there.
Yes. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, she negotiated and/or was the legal advisor for Muhammad Ali's first boxing contract.
Cool.
Yeah. So she has a very interesting story.
Awesome. So talk a little bit about, there are some other big projects that Metro Parks is undertaking. The one thing that I'm looking at my notes here, skate park.
Yes. So actually,
that's
being unveiled, ribbon cut today. There's been a lot
breaking news.
Breaking news at 5 o'clock. You can be there. And there might even be some skateboards given away, a little birdie told me unofficially.
Okay.
But anyway, the Newburgh area, the Newburgh Park, Petersburg Park has really been taken care of, and some nice amenities have been added. And so that's, again, the ribbon's being cut on the skate park. Fair warning, it doesn't look like it's going to look. You got to remember they said when you bake a cake, you got to break some eggs. So there's still some grass that has to be grown there. But the amenities are there. And a matter of fact, I rode by there on Saturday and somebody was already using it. I mean, they're just excited.
So this is going to be at Newburgh Park?
It's just in Petersburg, yeah. So when you make that right-hand turn, right there by the tennis courts.
Oh, by the tennis. I was trying to visualize where it would be. By the tennis courts.
Yeah, right past the tennis courts.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. So it's going to be fun. It's always good to have something new and something different, and to a certain extent, something unexpected.
Because nothing major really has happened at Newburgh Park for quite a while.
No, we've actually put some money in that park.
Really?
I mean, there have been some things that have gone on, and it's kind of quiet if you don't go by there. And like I said, you could very easily pass the skate park without even realizing it, because you have to make that left and then go past the tennis court. If you just continue, like on Indian Trail, you might not even know it was there.
Gotcha.
So you got some stuff that's kind of set back.
So let's talk about the city recently received the $12 million grant for the U.S. Forest Service to help improve the tree canopy, which is going in West Louisville.
Correct.
And so what can residents expect from that?
That one is very interesting. There's going to be, one of the good things about that is there will be a lot of community engagement. With that, there's going to be some focus groups. They're trying to help with the canopy. They're trying to help folks get educated on the importance of the tree canopy. There will be opportunities to train young people to work in that industry. That's definitely an area where minorities are underrepresented in urban forestry, things of that nature. So there's actually a job that comes with that particular grant, which is good. Somebody that can be dedicated to that. There will definitely be some community outreach and, like I said, opportunities for young people. So that's going to be a really good thing.
And so that project is partnering with Heaven Hill Distilleries, and I think that's a cool partnership.
Yeah, it is. So, and it's interesting, we just did another program at California Community Center, the Girls Collective, and they had a conference. And some folks from Heaven Hill came to the conference. We just started some conversation about expanding partnerships, and they were interested in what we were doing. And they actually showed up on a Saturday. That's not, for me, Saturdays might as well be Thursday. But when you work corporate, that's your weekend. So it says a lot about Heaven Hill and some of their team and what they're interested in trying to do. And they've already reserved some space in the community center for some other meetings. They are partnering with some other organizations in the community. And so we're allowing them to have some access to the center, which is great.
Awesome.
Yeah, it works for both of us.
Whenever I have guests on, I always ask them to give out their website address, a phone number, in case, our listeners want to follow up in anything that we talk about. So would you like to give
Yeah,
a
absolutely.
address?
It's interesting. You can find us through Metro Government, LouisvilleKY.gov. There's a tab that says departments. Our specific website is bestparksever.com. We're also active on social media, and that's the weird one for me. Working with young people, like you're 16, you're not going to follow a government agency, but we're trying to reach them. So for this particular listening audience, if you have children, grandchildren, if you work with youth, you have neighbors that have kids, share that information with them and maybe follow us for them, because we do have some fun things going on.
So Ben, before break, you were giving us the web address for Metro Parks, and you said you had something else to
Well,
add.
yeah, I didn't give you our phone number, which is Joe Creason Park is our headquarters, and you can reach us there at 574-7275, which is actually PARK, and that's the best place to call to get information literally on all things park. The young ladies who work that, I mean, yeah, that's more than a notion answering that line, but they do a great job.
Yeah. So how many years have you been with Metro Parks now?
Well, I've been with Parks for 10. This is my second stint with Metro. Initially, I think when we first met, I was the assistant director of youth development.
Youth development, that's right. Yeah.
Under Daryl Anaton.
Absolutely, that's right. So, what has surprised you about Metro Parks and the things that Metro Parks, the amenities that they have, or even some of the programs that they offer?
Yeah, so the thing I love about my job, my division, our role is I tell my team, whatever you are interested in, we can do in a community center. And it doesn't matter. Let's just say you specifically say, I want to work with some young ladies interested in journalism or media. We can create a program for that.
Okay.
You could say, or somebody else could say, I'm interested in auto mechanics. Fine. I mean, we've done a lot. We did a lot with COVID, so we can be very flexible in what we do. So as far as the recreation division, that's what I love. And we're doing some non-traditional stuff or new to us. We're doing stuff with archery. Pickleball has gone crazy. We just did.
It has.
It's gone. I mean, I don't want to say gone. Well, yeah, it's gone crazy. It's blown up like nuts.
Yes.
And so we actually just finished a pickleball program for some teens. Because pickleball tends to trend older, and so we just did it for some teens to introduce them to the sport. We had a stargazing party, and so we went out to some different parks. We're doing one coming up soon at Landon Park. See what's going on, and the folks that are interested in that come out, and we work with other organizations, the Astrological Society, who has some. The last one we did, or the last one I went to, they showed me a planet that I could see as clear as looking at you. And,
really?
And I didn't, those things cost as much as cars, but, but it was fun. So we also try to expose our young people to things that they wouldn't necessarily see.
Right.
And I also tell my team that whoever you consider a community center kid, when they get older, they should look back on something they did with them because of us that they might not have done otherwise. To me, that's a measure. That's a measure of success. And I will say, before you move on, if there's something you think we should be doing or would be interested in us doing, or you've seen somewhere else, again, 574-7275. We're always interested in ideas, opportunities, partners, and volunteers.
And that's a good segue, because I was just going to ask you about volunteers.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And so with everything that you've just talked about, if I wanted to volunteer, what do I need to do?
Same thing, 574-7275. We have a volunteer coordinator named Kelly who's doing a great job. And we have everything from tree plantings to, we serve day care meals in the community center. If the only thing you want to do is say, hey, I want to interact with the young people and serve the meal, that's great, because that can become intergenerational. You can become an extension of the family. You can become an extension of the community center. Sometimes kids just need a different face and a different voice.
That's true.
To talk to. I think we're around the same age.
And Ben, we have a phone call.
Oh, great. Go ahead, caller.
Go ahead, caller.
Hi. Will you all be having any camps for the winter break when the kids are out for Christmas?
Absolutely. we're offering them at no cost, and you can call 574-7275. Or is there a community center you're familiar with or you're interested in?
Well, I'm calling for someone, so I
Okay.
don't know for sure.
No problem.
Okay, can you repeat that number for me once more?
Sure, it's 574-7275. And you or whomever could also go on our website to find out exactly where our particular community centers are located. One satisfied customer.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so again, in terms of volunteers, so we'll continue along that thing. If you want to volunteer for one of our camps, if you want to volunteer in a community center working with the program, and we do have to have a background check, particularly if you're a long-term volunteer. If you're coming in for like a one-day event and you won't be along with any of our young people, then we can get like a one-day pass on that. But if you're going to be a consistent volunteer, overseeing a program or your group of young people, again, it's just the responsible thing to do. But we love volunteers. And I also make the promise, I'm not going to try to trick you into doing something else. People are passionate about what they're passionate about, and we can always use the help. So if you say, this is what I want to do, if we can make that work, that's what we're going to make work.
So if I have an idea, going back on what you said earlier about a program, but I don't have money to make the program happen.
Right.
So we would be able to kind of partner?
Yeah, absolutely. We can always discuss those things. I say the answer is never just no. I mean, the answer might end up being no, but the answer might end up being not yet, or the answer might end up being we can't do A, but let's look at doing B.
Gotcha.
We always try to support the community. We actually have at Beachmont, California, and Shawnee, youth organizations who actually work out of those particular facilities. They literally pay us rent, and that is their official business location. And that works well because that helps them with their resources go more toward the programming, but it also helps us because it brings more people into the facility. And again, if one of those organizations, Robert Jameson Ministries out of Shawnee, if they're doing a particular type of program, well, they are doing particular types of programs, but you bring your child there for that program and you have another child that's not interested in that program, maybe they're interested in something that we're doing, or and vice versa. We're running a sports league and your other child isn't interested in sports, it doesn't like whatever, maybe Robert Jameson or 2-Not-1 out of California, Bookworks out of Beachmont, you never can tell.
And so the PAL League partnered with the community centers, didn't they?
They did. We've had a great time with Rick. So, I mean, they're doing some wonderful programming, but what he was able to do, they used particularly South Louisville Community Center for some of their meetings. They did some archery training. I believe they did some martial arts. I don't want to call out the wrong one. They did that. And then this summer when they were closing out their summer program, and they actually did a run, like a 5K in Joe Creason Park, which is where my office is. And because Rick is so great to work with, I actually took a break from work and ran with him.
Oh, cool.
Even though it was, it's always fun hanging out with the kids. So we had a good time.
Talk a little bit about, we're going to segue into the amphitheater.
Okay.
Because I know a lot of people may not know about the Iroquois Amphitheater. I mean, it's a huge place where they have concerts
It is.
and movies.
The amphitheater is great. So lots of concerts. Right now, the Jack-O-Lantern Spectacular is going on there.
I've got to get out there.
You got to go quick. It ends at the end of the month.
And
So,
which the end of the month is what,
a
this
few
weekend?
days. Right. So if you have not been, the Jack-O-Lantern Spectacular is truly spectacular. Those are Jack-O-Lanterns, not pumpkins in terms of being technical, but the artistry and the themes and so forth. And it's also been extremely popular. It's done well. So that's one of the things to overlook in terms of being in Iroquois Park. But the amphitheater itself is actually the official amphitheater for the state of Kentucky. Seats just over 2,300. We have some good support from Metro Council. There are some free movie nights. Again, go on our website. You can go watch some nice movies for free. It is a beautiful venue.
It
The
is.
front is covered. The back is open air. So in terms of the weather, there have been some great. And one of the best things about it is it has had almost every genre of music. So it's truly been something that serves the community because it's not one particular type of music. So it's a fun venue.
I know since COVID, a lot of organizations and companies are talking about the challenges that they've had in terms of employees and the work. Do you feel like since COVID, you guys have had to kind of pivot in what you're doing, or are you just have you just plowed your way through?
No, we've had to pivot, and I'm not sure we're quite back, and I don't even just mean us. I mean, period. But one thing that we are still seeing broadly, and that's the effect on young people. I mean, you have some young people now who this year is almost their first, if you're in the second grade, third grade, fourth year, you almost haven't had a regular school year. And then of course JCPS has some additional challenges this year with transportation, so it's been odd. But then you also had a lack of socialization, which is major for young people. I work with an organization that does the showcase of HBCUs, a Black College Fair, which actually is coming up on November 9th. This is our first one that's live in 3 years. So the last two were virtual. The first one that was virtual, I think it was better attended because people were still hungry and the virtual thing was still kind of new. But by the time the next year rolled around, I know myself, I was sick of them screens.
Absolutely.
And so the second one was not as well attended, but it wasn't just us. We monitor what other people do and figure those things out. So it's going to be interesting to see how this one goes. JCPS has been a great partner, but the other thing about that is some people have learned or have decided to do things differently because of COVID. So it'll be interesting to see how many schools come back out. Are they doing things differently? I mean, no different than, some of the businesses that really haven't returned or are allowing their people to work remotely still. So we're still kind of figuring that thing out.
So one last question. Are you hiring?
Woo! Everybody. Everybody. And this is funny, ironic. We have an interim director right now. So if you think you want to run one of the larger municipal Parks and Recreation department, I don't know who you contact, but the job is available. And then we have supervisors, we have maintenance, we have operations, we have project managers, we have almost every level in the community center, including and up to permanent part-time. And what we've just recently created is a teen program. So we actually hire teens year-round now.
Oh, really?
In seasonal positions to work out of the community centers.
So is that 16 and above, or?
It's technically 15.
Okay.
But we're looking at the 15-year-old aspect of it because if there's some additional challenges there with the wage and hour laws. We wanted to be legal. And some people say, well, there's nothing for the 13s, 14s, 15s. Some of that is true. But at the same time, we also want young people to focus on their education, focus on being young people as well. So right now we have a couple 15-year-olds on the team, and they've done fine. And is that mainly
in recreation?
It's strictly in recreation.
Okay, gotcha.
Out of the community centers.
Gotcha. Well, Ben, is there anything else you want to bring up before we've got a couple of minutes left?
Okay. Like I said, Parks and Recreation is a great place to work. I believe no matter what you do, I mean, there are things that we do that people still don't, realize. We're over 250 miles of road we plow. They don't realize that Parks and Recreation does that. When it's a snow event, our folks are out there doing that. We manage 5 indigent cemeteries. People don't realize we do that, but of course we have Mary T, golf courses, historic homes.
Mary T is swimming.
Right, Mary T. And so, swimming has been a hot button here, or the aquatics. But there have been some plans, and I know there's some money that's out there that we're looking at expanding and improving, the access to pools and so forth throughout the community, so people pay attention. We have some exciting things going on there. Like I said, I don't care what you want to do in a career, we probably have that or something close at Louisville Parks and Recreation.
Or if you want to volunteer.
Or
Because
if
I'm
you
always
volunteer.
plugging volunteer
Yes, absolutely.
opportunities. So.
Absolutely.
Well, Ben, thank you so much for taking your time to come on
Thanks for having me.
to Metro Matters. You've given us lots and lots of information. And to our listeners, please follow up with Metro Parks. If you know someone who needs a job or if you want to volunteer, just call
47275.
Absolutely. I'm Althea Jackson, your host. Thank you for watching Metro Matters.